In this video, I will show you how to send out SMS messages programmatically without using implicit intents. So what I've done with this application is just to start a new application, and then I created this layout. So you'll see I've basically got two edit text there and one button. I've got the hint, edit or enter message, and I've got a hint, enter telephone number. The ID for this first edit text is called ET message, and for the second one, ET telephone number. And then the text on the button is Send SMS. So a very easy layout. The user needs to type the message, then the telephone number where he wants to send it, and then clicks on Send SMS, and then we'll send out an SMS message. If I quickly go to the main activity, you'll see I set up the two edit text there, edit text ET message and ET telephone number. In the onCreate, I just made a connection to it in the layout. So I said ET message equals edit text, find view by ID, referring to ET message and ET telephone number on the layout in order to get those two. Then I've also created a method, btn send SMS on click, that will basically go to the on click property for the send SMS button. So there's the on click property, and I've selected that method to actually activate when we click the button. So that's just a few setup steps in order to get this whole application running. Okay, so let's see what we need to do in order to send out SMSs programmatically. The first thing that we need to do is to go into the manifest file and add a user's permission there. And this permission should be to be able to send SMS messages. So we're going to go down until we get to send SMS. So we need that permission in order to send out an SMS. So that's very important. Before we carry on doing anything else, let's just make sure that we've got that send SMS permission correct. Then in the coding itself, we need to get the message. So I'm going to say string message equals ET message dot get text dot toString. And then I'm going to also get the telephone number get the text and then toString. Now you can do a lot of if statements here to test if the values are correct that was entered by the user, but that's not the idea of this video. We're just going to see how can we send out SMS messages. Now the main thing before sending out an SMS message, we need to know that the user has actually gone to this permission and gave us permission to actually send out this SMS. So from Android 6 and up, we need to handle permissions differently. So we need to do a simple if statement here to say if context compat dot check self permission, and then in this case the first one is the context, so I'm just going to pass in this. The second argument is manifest dot permission dot send SMS. Okay, so basically we're checking if the send SMS permission and then is not equal to, just put that to a new line, is not equal to package manager dot permission granted. So what this if statement basically doing here is basically just saying check if the permission send SMS, if the permission has not been granted, then we must do something. So then we're going to do the following. We're going to say activity compat dot request permissions, again just passing in the context. Second one, basically you can see there it's a string array with all the permissions that you want to request. So we're just going to request this one SMS permission. So we're going to say new string and then indicate the value that we want to have there. So it's going to be manifest dot permission dot send SMS. And then the last argument there will be some type of request code that you're going to set up that you can use later on in the onActivity result method. So I'm just going to use my permissions request send SMS. Okay, so obviously this one will not exist yet, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it there at the top and say int this one equals 1, or whatever the value is that you want to have there. So basically what's going to happen here, we're testing if the permission send SMS has not been granted, then this will just basically pop up a little system message that will ask the user to actually grant the permission for the send SMS. If you add more than one permission here in the string array, it's going to ask for all of those permissions. So then the else part there will be if the permission is granted. So that's where we want to actually send out the SMS. So then we're going to say SmsManager. Let's say SMS equals SmsManager dot get default. So it basically gets the default SMS manager of this specific application, and then we're going to say SMS.send text message. And you can see there's a few things that we need to have for the send text message. There's a destination address, which will be the telephone number. There's an SC, a service center address. Normally we just use null there for the default one. And then there's the text that you want to send, and then there's two pending intents. One pending intent that will help you to tell you basically when that SMS has been delivered, when that SMS has been sent, and when that SMS has been delivered. So we'll get to that now. So the destination address will obviously be the telephone number there. Then the SC address, I'm going to say null there to just go to the default value. And then the text will be the message. And then for now, we're just going to say null and null for the two pending intents. So then this is basically just sending out a simple SMS. So when that button gets clicked, it gets the message and the telephone number, tests for the permission if it's been granted. If it's not been granted, it will pop up a little pop-up box for the user to actually say allow to send out SMSs, and the next time it clicks the button, it's going to go to the else and then send the text message. And just remember that this is just one very simple way to handle permissions. There's a lot more you can do with these permissions. So sending out the SMS is just saying SMS.send text message, the message or the telephone number, null the message, and then the two pending intents, which we're going to do next. Okay, in the second part of this video, we will look at how to get feedback after sending an SMS message. So that's basically these last two values that we need to pass into the send text message method. And that is knowing when an SMS has been sent successfully and whether it's been delivered successfully. Okay, so for this to actually work, let's just go to the top there and do a few more declarations. So we're going to say, I'm going to set up a send type of SMS, because we're going to send out a broadcast to the system telling it, this message has been sent successfully or it's been delivered successfully. So I'm going to say SMS_sent and then string delivered, and that will also be SMS_delivered. Okay, so those will be the two shout outs, basically the two broadcasts that we're going to send over the system. And then we need the pending intents. So we're going to say pending intent. Let's call it sent pending intent. And we're going to have a delivered pending intent as well. So we're going to set them up now. And then we need to have some broadcast receivers. So we're going to say broadcast receiver. Let's say SMS sent receiver. And we're also going to have an SMS delivered receiver. Okay, so those basically going to use the sent and the delivered to shout out the message or broadcast to the system. And then obviously you need to have something that will catch or receive that specific broadcast. Okay, so we're going to use these now. Inside of our onCreate, let's set up those two pending intents quickly. So we're going to say send pending intent equals pending intent dot get broadcast. And now the first one is the context again. The second one is the request code, which I'm just going to set as 0. The third one is the intent that you want to basically activate here. So we're going to say new intent, and this intent will just shout out a message. So there's just an Alt Enter for the import there, so import class, and this one is going to shout out sent. And then the last argument will just be a 0 again. So basically all we're going to do with this pending intent is to basically shout out or broadcast to the system, this SMS has been sent. So now the same for the delivered one. So we're going to say delivered pending intent equals pending intent dot get broadcast. Again, this for the first argument, 0, a new intent again, and then just passing in delivered, and then passing in the 0 again. So these are my two pending intents, and I see pending intents as just something that wants or waits to get activated by something. And when this intent gets activated, it will shout out to the system sent, which will be SMS sent, or broadcasted out to the system. The same for this one. As soon as it gets activated, it will shout out delivered to the system. So if you go down, instead of having null and null there now, we're going to say sent pending intent, and we're going to say delivered pending intent. So now as soon as your SMS has been sent successfully, or has been sent, it's going to activate this sent pending intent, which will shout out to the system or show a new broadcast of sent, which will be SMS sent. And if it's been delivered, it will activate this pending intent, which will shout out to the system delivered. And now those shout outs or those broadcasts need to be caught by a broadcast receiver, or need to be received by a broadcast receiver. So let's see how we send up these two broadcast receivers. Okay, so we need a new method now, and that's the onResume method. So you can go to code override methods. Let's just search for the onResume method there. So this one, onResume. So in the onResume method, we're going to set up those broadcast receivers. So we're going to say the first one there is called the SMS sent receiver. So we're going to say SMS sent receiver equals new broadcast receiver. And you can see when choosing new broadcast receiver, it automatically gives us this onReceive method. So we're going to get back to that one now. And then we're going to have an SMS delivered receiver to also say new broadcast receiver. Okay, so those are the two onReceive methods. And then basically at the end, what we need to do is to register these two receivers to a specific broadcast. So we will just basically say register receiver. And then the first argument will be that your specific receiver. So I'm going to say SMS sent receiver. And then the second argument, I want to add a filter there. What should this specific receiver listen to? So I'm going to say new intent filter, and then the filter that this one is going to be listening to, the SMS sent receiver, will be the sent broadcast. So this receiver, or this SMS sent receiver, will listen to the shout out of sent. And we're going to say register receiver again. This time it will be the SMS delivered receiver, and this one will listen for the message delivered. So basically when it gets the message sent, it's going to go into the onReceive method. If it gets the message delivered, it's going to go into this onReceive method. So let's go into the first one there. So when this SMS sent receiver has been activated, basically when we've got the sent message there, it's going to activate this SMS sent receiver and it's onReceive. So let's just run through that again. This SMS send text message will send through to the number this specific message. When the send part of the message is done, it's going to activate the send pending intent. The send pending intent will then shout out to the system sent, and then the SMS sent receiver will listen for that message sent, and as soon as that message comes through, it will run this on receive. So that's basically what we're busy with now. So if the sent broadcast has come through, we will have a look at that specific result code. So we're going to say get result code to see what happened when trying to send out that SMS. So there's a few cases that we're going to have a look at. So the first one is activity dot result OK. That just means the SMS was sent out successfully. So we can just display a toast to say SMS sent, or SMS sent successfully, or whatever you want to do there. And then we can break. So that's the first case. The second case will be part of SmsManager, and we're going to say .result. There's an error generic failure. So we're just going to show a toast there to say generic failure. And then break again. Let me just make this a bit bigger there. The second case that you can test for is also SmsManager. Or the third one there, result error no service. So I'm just going to say no service. Then the next case will be SmsManager dot result null PDU. And then we break again, and then we can have a case SmsManager dot result radio off. That's basically handling all the different errors that you can get when sending out an SMS. So we're just going to say radio off there. And then we break. So that's basically it for this method. So in the on receive, when the message has been sent successfully, or when the sent part is done, it activates send pending intent, which shouts out to the system sent, which is basically that SMS sent. And then this SMS or this SMS sent receiver are listening then for the specific message sent. And if it gets that message, it will start the on receive and get the result code. If the result is okay, it means that the SMS has been sent. Otherwise, it will give us one of these errors. Okay, so the other way, or the other part, is then if the delivered part of the SMS is done, then it's going to activate the delivered pending intent. The delivered pending intent will shout out to the system delivered, and then after shouting out delivered, this SMS delivered receiver has been registered to listen for the message delivered. So as soon as it gets that message, it's going to go into this on receive, and now we can do something in this on receive of the SMS delivered receiver. So what we're going to do here is again going to the switch and getting the result code. Now also again, there could be a few cases there. The first one, the one that we are interested in, is actually the result being okay, which means that that SMS has been delivered. So we're just going to say toast there and say SMS delivered. And then we can break. And then the only other option is basically to say activity dot result cancelled, which basically means that that SMS has not been delivered. So I'm going to say SMS not delivered. So those are the two options that you've got, and then we break again. Okay, so that's basically sending out an SMS. So let's just run through this whole process again. We send out a text message to this number, null for the default service center address, which normally all of us should use. And then the third one is the message that you're going to send out, then your sent pending intent and your delivered pending intent. So if the the send part of the message is done, it activates the send pending intent, which shouts out sent. If delivered is done, it activates delivered pending intent, which shouts out delivered. And these two, SMS sent receiver and SMS delivered receiver, will be registered in order to listen for those two messages. If those messages come through, then it will activate their respective onReceive methods. Okay, so one last thing that we need to do is to maybe go to if you go to override methods again, let's go to the onPause method. So when we basically are outside of our activity, moving away from the activity, we need to unregister. So we're just going to say unregister receiver and indicate those two receivers. So we're going to say SMS delivered receiver, and we're going to say unregistered receiver, SMS sent receiver. So basically, when we move away from our activity, we will unregister those two receivers if you want to, or if it's needed. And then when coming back again, when your activity is again in the front, it will run on resume again, which will register these two receivers again. So that's sending out an SMS message programmatically. Hope you've enjoyed this video.